this coming out, the President Biden, it was a confidential memo that reveals that transgender service members can skip deployments and receive infinite physical fitness standards and waivers. This just coming out, this will probably be news tomorrow, so just trying to get a handle on this. But to give you a little history here, in June of 2016, on his way out of office, then President Barack Obama selectively lifted one of the many restrictions on military service. The one he chose to lift was the ban on transgenderism in the military. That restriction was then put back in place shortly after Donald Trump took office. And I know something about that because I worked very closely with the president and his administration to do that. However, there were individuals that were grandfathered in, or maybe I should say grandmothered in, and they were allowed to continue to serve. Now, those should have been enough for a fact-driven administration not to lift the ban, as the Biden administration did almost immediately upon capturing the White House. Now, this is just one of the ways in which the Biden administration has turned our military into a laboratory for woke social experimentation projects. Joining me now to discuss the real-life impact of these policies is retired U.S. Coast Guard Chief Rocky Rogers. And he served just until recently, retired from the U.S. Coast Guard. Chief Rogers, welcome to Washington Watch.
Hey, Tony. Thanks for having me.
So you spent 20 years in the Coast Guard, and you witnessed firsthand the shift in priorities, which we see now basically invading our military under this administration. In particular, the impact that having transgender service members in the ranks. Tell us about your experiences as a supervisor.
So as you mentioned, I was a direct supervisor of one of 9 transgender in the U.S. Coast Guard from 2018 to 2020-ish, before that member separated. Before that member reported to my unit, to my workspace, the command briefed me what was going on, and just said to look out for this person. Ranged from anywhere from an unimaginable amount of medical appointments to where this member was rarely at work, for a personal choice procedure to be done. Because of these choices, my workforce was significantly hindered in what we could respond to. We were billeted, say, 6 personnel, but we only had 5 that were able to work any given time of the day. So that was a huge impact. And then, said member asking for extended lunches for nourishment, which is, always acceptable, but then another hour and a half for personal medical care. And I asked the member to get the command approval, because if you give it to one, you have to give it to all. And if we were to give everyone a 2-hour lunch, nothing would be completed during the normal workday. So a lot of challenges.
So these special accommodations were required just because this individual was transitioning to another, body.
Yes, sir. And like I said, during my briefing with the command, before this member even reported, the command asked me if I ever needed any guidance, any support, to let them know. I can count 3 times I reached out to the command and medical administrators directly, asking for advice for any challenges with, again, an unimaginable amount of medical appointments and so forth. The command via email would always say, "Chief, figure it out, handle it appropriately." And that was a sign to me that no one in a leadership role wanted their hands to be tied.
So how did this affect the other troops, the other guardsmen under your supervision?
There was a lot of frustration. There was just a lot of animosity, if you will, because they knew this person could not be depended on to help out with our day-to-day task. So it wore the morale in our workspace down very quickly.
So what if you had 2 individuals like that in your group?
Well, I'd have 65% of a crew to do 100% of the work, is what it would come down to.
I mean, that seems like that has an impact upon military readiness.
Absolutely. 100%. You know, those people have to have time to rest, take care of themselves. You mentioned having waivers for the PT test. I mean, there's people who are not transitioned that can't even do the PT test, and they get waivers denied. So how is this special category able to get those waivers?
So, Chief, another. We're about to run out of time. It was also during your tenure there the emphasis on the DEI training. How did that affect the ability for you to accomplish your mission?
They spend more time training than able to do your job because all the training is reactive. It's not preemptive. It's reactive because there's problems within the ranks. So all this training is because there is bullying and hazing and discrimination that no leader wants to admit, but it is happening. So it's just it's disgusting. I am a big fan of training properly and appropriately, but accountability is where it comes to. If the Coast Guard were to live by the core values, honor, respect, devotion to duty, a lot of these problems would not be happening.
Chief, we're out of time, but one final question for you. Do you think this is impacting the ability of our military and Coast Guard to actually recruit people?
Absolutely. As of July 12 of this year, so 6 days ago, just the enlisted ranks alone, the Coast Guard is down 3,559 members. That's just recruiting. That's not counting the shortages within the ranks that are already there for the retention problems.
Wow. Well, Chief Rogers, I want to thank you first for your service to our country, and thank you for being willing to speak candidly to the problems that this is creating for the men and women who continue to serve. Great to have you on the program.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.